Have you ever wondered what it's like to run away with the circus? Maybe it was a childhood dream, or maybe it seems like the butt end of a joke. But whether you idolize it or ridicule it, this is my livelihood and has been for over a decade. And today I'm going to take you along on my latest contract and show you a behind the scenes peek of what it's really like to run away with the circus. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I'm Shannon Makes, and here on YouTube, I mainly make videos about sewing, crafting, and more recently, house renovation and DIY. But I've been performing professionally for many years now as my sole source of income, and I figured that this was the perfect moment to take you along with me on this year's Christmas contract. So last time you saw me, we were back in Nova Scotia, frantically insulating our third floor attic and trying to get our centuries-old house ready for the Canadian winter. Since then, a lot has happened in preparation for our Christmas contract in Germany. We went back to Montreal, where I did some festive winter-themed painting projects while we switched gears from renovation mode to circus mode. Getting ready for a contract is always a bit of a process, so first we pulled out our equipment and started rehearsing. If you followed along with my Craftmas videos from last year's holiday contract, you'll know that we blow through costumes pretty quickly. We're both especially rough on our pants, so new costumes had to be dyed, sewn, and modified in preparation for this month-long contract. Shoes had to be sanded, corgis had to be exercised, suitcases had to be packed. Then, before we knew it, it was time to fly to Germany. Good morning, friends. We are safely arrived in Germany, feeling pretty good, a little bit jet-lagged, but not too bad. The flights here were absolutely nuts. We almost missed both of them, and we were at one point sprinting through the airport like we were in a Hollywood film, but we have made it in one piece. We have all of our luggage with us. So now it is like quite early morning, and I think the first thing we're gonna do today is basically figure out how to get ourselves down to the tent. Should be a simple tram ride away, and then make sure that our equipment arrived safely and also in one piece, well, 3 pieces, and start to unpack it and then assemble it, because we have like a whole assembly process that we need to go through to get our equipment together. And then while we're there, we'll just kind of check in and see like what the rest of the schedule is, because we have not received any official schedule from the crew down there. So we're just gonna check in, show up, and start taking care of our own stuff. And then at some point later on, I will give you a tour of this place because it is very cute. I am quite enjoying our lodgings at the moment. But yeah, first things first, let's just let's go see about our equipment and how to get to the tent. Apartments are in the middle of town, so the tram ride into the tent takes us past all of the lovely Christmas markets that we cannot wait to go visit when we have more time. So we found the tent without issue, and we were also happy to see that our equipment had arrived safely and soundly and was waiting for us backstage. Coming from North America and bringing lots of large props, we flew out before most of the rest of the cast, so we were one of the first artists at the tent, meaning we had a lot of time and space to unpack our crates and assemble all of the equipment in relative peace and quiet, because the rehearsal process is about to get really loud and chaotic really quickly. So here we're having a discussion with the choreographer, the director, and the tent crew to see if we can install our bass underneath the stage, which is always preferable because it gives a much cleaner look to the act, but it isn't always possible in every venue. Like so many other aspects of this job, it requires an open mind, creative problem solving, and lots of elbow grease. Meanwhile, Canelle is busy solving more important problems, like the most efficient way to bring her favorite tour toy, the IKEA rat, back to the closest set of hands. Now, fun fact about this toy, actually, it showed up somewhere mid-contract while we were working in Copenhagen a few years back, and it has followed us to every European contract we have done ever since. So at the end of a contract, we just take the rat and we pack it back in our crates, those large black road cases you just saw, and sometimes I will also throw in some of her favorite sticks from the contract as well, which leads to this funny phenomenon where oftentimes we will arrive in a new city and we will open up the crates and the first thing we will see is a ton of dog toys. So it's not unusual for us to actually unpack all of her toys and sticks before we even touch our own equipment. Good morning, everyone. Day 2 here in lovely Erfurt, and yeah, I thought I would just give you a little tour around the room here, show you the digs, and then got some fun stuff planned for today. So let me just flip you around because I know people always ask me what kind of places we're staying in when we're traveling. So I'll show you. I'll start it off with my favorite part of the room, which is definitely this gorgeous set of windows that is letting a fair amount of light into the apartment. Also some lovely brickwork across the way to look at. I will admit that despite the large windows, the room itself is still fairly dark. Oh, there we go. But it is a good size. We have a very comfortable bed. It has achieved the highly coveted Corgi seal of approval. And moving over here, we have the aforementioned European closet, otherwise known as an armoire, a kitchenette, which is, as the name implies, a very small kitchen. And yes, it is a little bit small. We are a little bit pressed for counter space, but I'm honestly just thrilled that there is any kitchen at all, because I have done long contracts without a kitchen, and that is always a small nightmare. We've got the bathroom in there, nothing of note. And then if we spin around here, we've got a very cute and very functional coat rack right next to the front door. This little shelf here, the TV stand, which has not been turned on yet because none of us watch TV, and then a very sizable set of drawers for all of my crafting supplies. Very exciting. Oh yeah, and of course, a little bit of clothing. We've got some t-shirts. We've got the essentials, dog snacks. We'll be getting into those a little bit later. And then, pants, long underwear, socks, all that good stuff. Now you might have noticed that I actually have far more crafting supplies than I have clothes. This is pretty typical for me on tour because I would much rather be entertained than dressed. So I've always got lots of stuff to work on. I brought my knitting project. This was ongoing from last winter, currently working on a sweater. I believe I showed it in a previous video. I can roll some B-roll of it for you here. I also finally got around to making the knitting bag that I talked about last year. Some of you will recognize this fabric from my mystery wool video. Maybe I can show off this bag a little bit later because I'm super happy with how it turned out. It has been great. It is my project bag. It is holding my wool at the moment. And then I also have my English paper piecing hearts. We are still working on this. This is a very small segment. This is just from the plane ride here and the train and all that. So it's a little travel piece. I have a much larger section in here somewhere. And then a lot of books to keep myself entertained backstage as well. This just came in the mail and I could not be more excited about it. It's the third book in a really, really good series, and I had forgotten that I had pre-ordered this book until it showed up at my door the day before we left to come here. So it was perfect timing. I threw it in, and then of course I am also still working on the Outlander series. I'm only on Drums of Autumn, but don't you worry, I have the Fiery Cross as well in case I run out of books, which in an entire month here I legitimately might. Now, one question people do always ask me is how I manage to pack so much crafting stuff in my suitcase, and the answer to that is that I just don't bring a whole lot of clothes, and the way that I manage to get away with doing that is the secret ingredient, wool. I've got wool pants, I've got wool long underwear, I've got tons of wool socks, and wool is the magic ingredient because it does not take on stink quite as fast as any other fiber in my experience. So like pants, I don't tend to get dirty very often. It is winter here in Germany, so I always have an outer pair of pants, and then I have a layer underneath. These are some wool long underwear, and then I've got always wool socks. So the pants I make myself. These are, this is the same pair that I wore on contract in Germany 2 years ago. It's literally the only pair of pants I had on contract then. Now I have a second pair here somewhere. But the socks, you will not catch me dead knitting socks. I don't have the patience for that, and I just don't enjoy it. So that is why my drawers are full of Bombas socks, the only company to make comfortable, cozy socks and have a mission to help those in need. Now yes, this is a sponsored segment, but lest you think that my sock drawers are full of Bombas socks in luscious colors and prints purely because they are paying me to talk about them, allow me to show you Exhibit A. This is a Bombas sock that I have owned for many, many years. It is, you can see I've worn it before, and also you can't buy it on their website because this has been in my own personal wardrobe for several years now, and unfortunately I have worn it so much that I have lost its pair, and this is the only one, but I am still holding on to this in the hopes that I will find it. It will turn up from the black hole into which it has disappeared because I love this sock. I love all my Bombas socks, and I am confident that one day it will come back from the spontaneous black hole from which it disappeared. So obviously I am a huge fan of their wool socks. I am exclusively wearing wool all winter long. I continue wearing wool socks into spring, and I honestly start wearing lightweight wool socks in autumn. So I am a huge fan of the wool, but if that is not your thing, or if you are allergic, they do also offer some super cute and comfy looking cotton socks. They also have this really luscious looking merino cashmere blend that I would love to try one day. They also make underwear and t-shirts, which along with socks are the top 3 items requested in homeless shelters because those are the things that you are using the most often, and they wear out quite fast. And while homeless shelters do often accept used clothing like pants or tops that are in good condition, they do not accept socks or underwear, because that's gross. So that is where Bombas steps in, because for every item that you purchase, they match that with a donation to help people in need, people experiencing homelessness. They work in all 50 states to distribute these items, and they have so far donated over 150 million items to people experiencing homelessness. They also have a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like your socks, if your dog eats them, whatever the reason, you can return or exchange them for free, which means there's literally no reason not to give Bombas a try now, today. So if you are interested, you can head on over to bombas.com. If you are a new customer, you can use my code Shannon Makes to get 20% off of your first order. So head on over there, check out their selection. They're very cute, they're very colorful. Some of these are on my Christmas wish list. Well, not these. I'm not showing the ones that I'm going to be gifting because they are a surprise. So Mom, Dad, Phil, you'll know what to look for in your stocking. So thank you so much to Bombas for sponsoring this video. And now I think it is time to open a little bit of mail. So I did squirrel away some of the envelopes that people have been mailing me to my P.O. box of fabric scraps, or at least I'm assuming they're fabric scraps because they're small and they're feeling like fabric scraps. I guess we'll find out. But I mostly just grabbed a handful of small packages and some envelopes here, and I figured I'm gonna open these. We'll do a really abbreviated version here and now, and then we can do a longer version on the second channel at some later date. And then I can use whatever fabric is contained in these to do a fun little winter sewing project here on contract, just to give me a break from the hearts, because I do feel like I've been sewing hearts for a decade at this point. Oh, this one is so cute. Look at, it's got all the circus stuff on it. Look at all that. So fun. Very on theme too. All right. Let's open these, shall we? From Poland. Stunning. I love the colors in this. Wow. So much color. Now I know why it's for Canal. Look at that. I want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to everyone who sent me fabric, both the handful of people whose packages I'm opening on screen, but also everyone else who sent something to my P.O. box, which is still open through the end of the month, this December 2024, and I can't wait to get back to see what everyone has sent me. Also, I realize I haven't really mentioned what it is that I'm hoping to make with all these fabrics, and I was really inspired by this image that I found on Pinterest the other day. It's so simple. It's just this bow, but it's so cozy. I love it. It is cheerful and cozy, can go anywhere, and it's very simple. It's such an easy project to do. So that is what I was inspired to do with it. Well, thank you all so much for all that lovely fabric. That was very fun, a very festive way to start off the day. So now I think I'm going to package all of this up into, you know, a nice transportable bundle and take it into the tent, because Phil and I have decided that we are going to take advantage of a late rehearsal today to go in and check out some of the city, see some of the Christmas markets on our way into the tent. So I'm gonna get this bundled up, I'm gonna get myself bundled up, we're gonna grab the corgi, and we're gonna go check out the city a little bit. And then we're gonna go do some rehearsals. Also gonna have to keep our eye out for some sort of greenery, garland, pine bough sort of thing, because when we were unpacking the crate yesterday, I found these. These are the warm white LEDs that I thought I remembered that I had in there. And I also have these. These are from 2 Christmases ago. I always carry a little kit of Christmas decorations in our crate, but I cannot find, for some reason, we had a little baby Christmas tree. It was maybe, you know, like 20 centimeters tall or something. Can't find it, don't know where it went. So we're gonna have to find some sort of replacement, because it is Christmas and I want to be cheerful in here, and the place is currently very white and black and beige, and I want some holiday decorations. The only thing we've got going on in here at the moment is this guy, who is very cheerful, but will also be very much in my stomach before long. So keep an eye out for some garland, something along those lines. If you've never been to a German Christmas market before, they're both incredibly festive and colorful and cheerful, and also a bit kitsch and over-commercialized. They can definitely be overwhelming as well, so I was happy that we were exploring on a weekday in early December when the crowds weren't too bad. not a big shopper, and I've certainly seen my share of German Christmas markets over the years, which tend to have the same sort of goods and foods from one market to the next. I do still enjoy wandering around and taking in the sights and smells, and generally enjoying the extra bit of activity and human interaction that these booths bring to what can otherwise be empty plazas and city squares. Plus, I have to say I really enjoyed the markets here in Erfurt especially. Of all the markets that I've seen, these ones are pretty darn good, and I'd say they're right up there with Nuremberg and Munich. The city survived the bombings of World War II pretty well, and their old town is actually one of the best preserved medieval city centers in Germany, which definitely contributes to the general ambiance of these markets. Then it was time to go into rehearsal, and it's always neat when the tram that picks you up is also covered with advertising for your show. So I did warn you that rehearsals were a chaotic process, and I wasn't kidding. We've got 13 acts from 10 different countries, all trying to get time on stage to set up their equipment and get sufficient practice time. Now, it's a collaborative process, not a competitive one. Nobody's being a diva or trying to hog the spotlight, but it's just a really tight time frame to try and get a lot of stuff done. Now, this video is scheduled to come out on December 20th, which it's still tight, but there is a little bit of time left for Christmas wish lists. And you know what makes an excellent holiday gift? A subscription to my Patreon. It's a shameless plug, I know, but I did think it was worth mentioning that I have a Patreon account where members get early and ad-free access to all my videos, but there's also just a bunch of fun extras. I do monthly vlogs and blogs with bonus material. If you're here for the circus, there are occasionally links to our full performances or behind-the-scenes photos. If you're into crafting, we're currently running a holiday winter stash busting fabric swap that's been really fun. Plus, I do occasionally just go on random rabbit holes involving, moose-drawn sleighs or apple crumble or ice castles. The Patreon version of this video, for example, it currently has an extra half hour or so of footage that got cut from the version that you're watching. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to support the channel, the link to my Patreon is in the description. It does make a fantastic holiday gift. You can just slip it in there on your wish list to your, friends and family. Or if you prefer just to say thank you with a one-time tip, I do also have a Ko-fi account down in the description as well. And either way, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined the channel in the last year. Those of you who followed along for the last 4 years, whatever it is, just thank you so much for being along for the ride, for supporting the channel, for having fun here, and for leaving a lot of fun comments as well. When we're not on stage, we're often practicing backstage, especially because everybody was given new music for this show, but it was a very last-minute change, so some of the practice is to adjust timings and get used to the new music, and some is just for fun. Everyone is at different stages in the process. Some acts are already setting their show lights, while others are still struggling to figure out their rigging situation. On a side note, this is one of the reasons that I always chuckle when people freak out in the comments because we're climbing on our roof, or even just standing on ladders in our renovation videos, because this is our norm. Climbing up in the grid, several meters off the ground, often without a safety line to adjust your own rigging, because you know your equipment better than anyone else, and you trust yourself to do a better job than the local team. We climb on the outside of tents, we're up in the grid fixing lights and rigging, so no, standing on a ladder is definitely not something that bothers me. So we spent the next couple days sitting at the tent, doing things like rehearsing the number, fixing our props, setting the lights, meeting the cast and the artists, getting to know them a bit better, rehearsing the finale number with all of the bows, and playing around with the dog. But honestly, most of what we were doing is just a lot of sitting around and waiting. This is why I always bring a couple crafting projects on tour, because there is a lot of downtime during most contracts, both during the rehearsal process, but honestly even once the shows start running, and sewing and knitting are my two favorite portable crafting projects to bring on tour. That and a good book. Well, good morning everyone. We've had several days of rehearsals since we last sat here and chatted. It's been a process, as rehearsals always are, but I have some very cheerful Christmas updates for everyone. So last time we talked, my goal was to go out and get some Christmas decorations to adorn our apartment. And let me tell you, I've been very successful, even though I didn't actually have much time to actually pursue my mission because of the rehearsals. So first of all, I got this. It is a fairly long stretch of garland. It is unfortunately plastic, but we were 16 minutes early for the tram one day, and I decided to kill those 16 minutes in one of my favorite stores, and they happened to have some garland. So I grabbed this. It's very festive and fun, and I also was not planning to get any ornaments at the time, but they had this very cute little glass ornament that is a skein of yarn. So I grabbed that as well because it was very, very cheerful, figuring that like this is going to be perfect to just string my lights in and then lay it across the top of the dressers there. I don't love that it is plastic, but I will take fairly good care of it, and at least, I will be able to reuse it and pack it in with the rest of the Christmas decorations at the end of this contract and whip them back out next year. So that was the first find. And then the next day, once again, while we were waiting for our tram, it was market day, and they were selling actual live little baby Christmas trees. This was only €3, and I'm super excited about this. It is in very good shape. It is very much alive. So I think at the end of the contract, we're gonna just plant this outside somewhere, see if it'll continue to grow and thrive. But yeah, so that's very fun. So it does have a little bit of a nice smell, so I'm thinking that with my one strand of lights, I'm gonna kind of wind it through my garland, and then it can kind of finish by going up the tree, and then it can all go down by the TV, which we have lately been setting up as a fireplace. Very nice and cozy. So that is the plan for this morning. Just have some fun decoration time, make this place a little bit more festive. Oh my goodness. Who put these away last time? They should be fired. Okay, my goal for the end of this contract is to put these lights away better than I put them away last year. Nice. I also think it's funny that on average, the settings, the options for the lights on here are generally much calmer than the American set of lights that I just pulled out of my attic last week. This is discotheque. They were all very, very hyperactive, whereas this one, they're generally pretty calm with the exception of this one. So we're gonna change that. Yeah, I just think it's funny that like these are far less, I don't know, seizure inducing and calming than the multicolored American lights. I don't know what that says about various cultures, but I do find it amusing. I also have a fun little update on the fabric project that I've been working on. This is where 2.5 days of rehearsals has gotten me. So it is very fun, very cheerful, very festive, and it is going to be the most cozy bow once I manage to finish it. Yeah, that's where we are, and I am loving how cheerful these colors are. I think it is going to make the most fun little bow. Works really well at doing in low lighting too, I will say. But on that note, we are going to head into the tent because today is our premiere, and I always like to get to the tent a little bit earlier than normal for the first show of the run. So let's get going and let's do a show. And that's one tiny little glimpse into some of the aspects of my day job. Now, people always ask to see more circus stuff, but every time I release a circus related video, it does very poorly. So if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more, share this one around. It's the most useful way to help it succeed in today's YouTube landscape. So send it to a friend, a family member, post it online in a forum, hype it up, and leave some love in the comment section. If you want to see more circus videos, I'll recommend this one here from last year's Christmas show. I hope you have a lovely and fulfilling week, however you'll be spending it, and may all your days be circus days.